Hi everyone! Thank you for watching this tutorial to learn how to report attendance for volunteer opportunities using Volunteer New York's portal. It's Volunteer New York's mission to inspire, mobilize, and equip individuals and groups to take positive action to address pressing challenges, support nonprofits, and strengthen the quality of life in our community. So part of our work to achieve this mission is offering agencies and volunteers access to our portal that offers so many features. Some of the features for agencies include listing project opportunities to recruit volunteers, reporting volunteer attendance for projects, and tracking past and future volunteer hours. And on the volunteer side, volunteers can find opportunities, track hours served, and connect with nonprofits in need of support. So for this tutorial, we're going to learn how to report attendance for projects with an individually scheduled schedule type. To give an overview of what this presentation will cover, we're first going to begin with reasons to report attendance. Then we're going to learn how to confirm volunteers that have expressed interest for an individually scheduled opportunity. Then we'll move to how to report attendance through the Volunteer Opportunity tab. And then we'll go through the steps to report attendance for volunteers that have already started serving hours or have future hours planned. So to jump right in, we're first going to think about why we should report attendance. People volunteer for so many different reasons. Some might need to fulfill required service hours, while others just want to engage with the community. Either way, it's vitally important to report volunteer attendance, and thankfully Volunteer New York's portal offers a really handy way to report it. So no matter the reason a volunteer chooses to volunteer, by reporting their attendance, we are showing gratitude to the volunteers and acknowledging that they donated their time. Volunteer New York's portal also allows both you as an agency and the volunteer an efficient way to keep record of volunteer hours, which is essential to grant reporting and reporting to a board of directors. Also with that, Volunteer New York's portal allows for agencies to track volunteers that have served in the past, and allows for volunteers to track their own hours served, which eliminates the need for additional paperwork. And finally, reporting attendance is a way to boost volunteer retention, which might be the most important reason to report attendance because it'll increase the likelihood of a volunteer willing to volunteer with your agency again. So, just to get an understanding of what individually scheduled opportunities are, it's good to know that individually scheduled opportunities are best for projects that require communicating with the volunteer before confirming them and determining their schedule. Perhaps your organization wants to vet the volunteer before confirming them. You may want to schedule the volunteer separately, or you simply want to generate a list of interested volunteers for an ongoing project. An important feature of individually scheduled opportunities is that the organization must confirm or decline the volunteer and determine the volunteer's schedule manually. Then, once the project is completed, attendance can be reported. So now that we have an understanding of what an individually scheduled opportunity is, we can learn how to confirm or decline them. This will bring us to the first step in reporting attendance for individually scheduled opportunities through Volunteer New York's portal, because first we're going to go through how to confirm or decline volunteers. It's really important to confirm or decline volunteers because it ensures that the volunteer and the organization are in agreement regarding the opportunity. So if the volunteer is confirmed by your organization, this means that your organization thinks that the volunteer is a good fit for your project and will be scheduled. If the volunteer is declined, this means that the volunteer is not a good fit for the project or that the volunteer changed their mind about participating in the project. The first step to confirming or declining a volunteer is to navigate to the Volunteer Opportunities tab by selecting it from the menu on the left side of the page. Once in the Volunteer Opportunities tab, it should say Volunteer Opportunities at the top. You're going to want to search through the opportunities to find the project you need to confirm or decline volunteers for. To find the project, the opportunities can be filtered by status, schedule type, or registration type using the first row of the table. They can also be found by using the search bar. Once you find the appropriate opportunity, you're going to want to select the name of the project from the first column of the table. The next step is to scroll down the page until you see the Connections heading. Under the heading is where all the volunteers who expressed interest and need to be confirmed or declined will be listed. An important note to make here is that you cannot confirm or decline a volunteer until you enter at least 1 day of service. The next step is to select Edit next to the name of the volunteer you want to confirm or decline. To confirm a volunteer, you're going to need to enter the start date and time and the end date and time that the volunteer is scheduled for. then change the status to confirmed. To decline a volunteer, change the status to declined, then select a reason for declining the volunteer. You do not need to enter any dates when declining a volunteer because the volunteer will not be working with you. The final step to confirm the volunteer is to change the attendance status to please verify, then click save. And an extra fun tip is that if the project has already passed, you can change the attendance status to attended or not attended to report attendance all in the same step. But keep in mind that marking volunteers as confirmed will trigger an automatic email to them, letting them know that they've been approved for the project. So it is ideal to confirm them and set their volunteer dates before they begin the project. But it's still okay if you forget or you're behind on your confirming. So now that we know how to confirm or decline volunteers before we report attendance, we can go through how to report attendance for individually scheduled projects. The first step is to select the Volunteer Opportunities tab from the menu on the left side. This page was going to list all the opportunities from your organization. Now you're going to want to search for the specific opportunity that you want to report attendance for. To search for the opportunity, you can use the filters to filter the results by posting status, schedule type, or registration type. You can also just type the name of the opportunity into the search bar, or you can double-click the small arrow in the first row of the table to sort the project names alphabetically. And once you find a specific project, select the name of that project from the first column of the table. After you select the name, you're going to be redirected to a page that reads Volunteer Opportunity at the top. And you're going to want to scroll down this page until you see the heading that says Connections. Now you're going to want to select the Report Attendance button on the right side of the screen. So now you're going to want to find the names of each volunteer who attended the project. And then you can check the little box next to their name. And then after you select all the volunteers who attended the project, you can click Mark as Attended. Then you can repeat this step for volunteers that did not attend and select Mark as Not Attended. To complete the attendance report, you're going to say yes to this box that pops up on the screen. If volunteers have already started serving hours, you can still confirm or decline them, and of course, you should still report their attendance. So to report attendance for volunteers that have already started serving hours, there's a few steps to complete. First, you'll want to go to the Volunteer Opportunities tab. Once you're in the Volunteer Opportunities tab, you're going to search for the opportunity using the sorting or filtering features or through the search bar. Once you find the opportunity that you want to report attendance for, you're going to select the name of the opportunity from the first column of the table. Okay, so now that you've selected your opportunity, you're going to want to edit the initial connection to reflect the first day of the volunteer service. This can be done by scrolling down the page to the Connections heading and selecting Edit next to the volunteer's name. So after you select Edit, you're going to enter the volunteer's first date and time of service. Then you can select Save. A quick note is to make sure that the start date and time and end date and time are both within the occurrence date. After you edit the initial connection to reflect the volunteer's first date of service, you're going to want to go back to the Connections section that was under the Volunteer Opportunities tab. There is a Add Connections button. This is the button you're going to want to click. So once you select the Add Connections button, your next step is to begin adding the connections by selecting Contact and using the search bar to find the name of the volunteer you want to report attendance for. Next, select the day of the week that the volunteer served. Then enter the date and time the volunteer served. Then select the button that says Add Date and Time. This will create a connection, which is similar to scheduling a volunteer. Now you're going to want to enter the period of time that the volunteer will be serving for. For example, if you create a connection for Wednesdays from 7:15 to 9:15, between what dates will this volunteer be serving on Wednesdays from 7:15 to 9:15? Keep in mind that the scheduled days must be between the occurrence dates. The occurrence date was created when you created the listing and is the span of time that the volunteer will serve for. The occurrence date serves as both the date that the project is running and the date the agency is recruiting volunteers. You may need to extend the occurrence date if you are creating connections for future dates beyond the dates of occurrence. A note here is that any connection that you add for past dates are automatically marked as attended. After you fill in the required information, you're going to want to select Save. And if the connection is successfully made, a box will pop up on the screen that says Success, and you'll just need to click OK. If volunteers have hours planned, you can still create those connections and dates in the portal. To report attendance for volunteers that have hours planned, you'll first want to navigate to the Volunteer Opportunities tab on the left side of the screen. The opportunity using the search bar, sorting, or filtering features. Your next step is to scroll down the page to the Connections heading, then select the Add Connections button on the right side of the screen. Select Contact, then use the search bar to search for the name of the volunteer you want to report attendance for. Once you find the appropriate volunteer, select their name. Now you're going to want to enter the day of the week that the volunteer will serve, as well as the start time and end time for the volunteer's service. Then select Add Day and Time. Now you're going to want to enter the start date and time that the volunteer will serve. The start date and time must be within the time frame of the whole occurrence. After you enter all the required information, you're going to want to select Save. And when the connection is complete, a box reading Success will come up on the screen, and all you have to do is click OK. Thank you everyone for watching this tutorial. If you go to Volunteer New York's portal dashboard, there is a link to another video tutorial for how to report attendance for date and time specific opportunities. Thank you again.